So these kind of the way that we sort things aren't necessarily natural. They just sort of happen over a period of time. And sorting out information is massively hard. Like, this is information architecture in my house. This is a box containing a very strictly defined category. It's toys that my daughter will not share with anybody else. And it took a long time to work out this category. Basically, we needed to do it because every day we'd say, can you tidy up the house? And she would just stand there, not having nowhere to put this kind of stuff. Literally just trying to help, but no, you know, this all means something to her. I've got no idea what it means. Not anything at all. My son's got Lego. He's got exactly the same issue. He came up to me and he said, you know, I can't find all of these Lego pieces. And being a kind of information architecture geek, I find this really interesting. So I had a look on the internet to see how people sorted Lego, and they take it really, really seriously. This evolution of Lego sorting is probably one of the best articles I've ever read on information architecture. It's really, really good. There's links in all of this stuff, and I'll make sure that Jose gets them later on. But as I say, people take really seriously sorting this stuff out. And this one here, this guy's really furious. He's writing a whole series of blog posts that if you don't have the right boxes for your Lego, you know, we might as well all burn £5 notes. And in the end, this is kind of what we sorted out for my son. It's called Box for Blocks. We didn't buy this, but basically what you do is you take the Lego and you shape the box. And what happens is, at the bottom, the smallest bits goes and the biggest bits stay in the top. Now, actually, that's exactly what my son wanted. He wanted to find those small bits. So basically, we've got an ice cream tub and a big thing, £1 from the pound shop. Everyone's happy. But that's information architecture. It's about working out how people need to sort that information based on the tasks and things. So this information sorting that is hard. You know, if you've got a website with 20,000 pages, how do you work out how to put that into categories that everybody understands? And people are always trying to screw us up. Did you see this week about Congress in America? US Congress have reclassified pizzas as a vegetable. For political things. Now, we all know it's not a vegetable, but in a legal sense they've decided to do it as a vegetable. What's this? Animal, vegetable, mineral? Actually, it's none of those. It's a fungus. What category do you put this in? This is people who have come half and half. You know, is it a spoon? Is it a fork? It's a spork. And so you get lots of websites which have just got this kind of spork navigation. You've got really no idea what's going to happen when you click this button. Who knows what's coming up in the menu? And there are really good reasons that this is confusing. So very, very quick test. Look, we've got on this picture, we've got a cow, grass and chicken. You don't need to say this out loud, but which of those three is the odd one out? Now, if you're the same as any other group of people, some of you will have said grass and some of you said chicken, and if you go and ask people all around the world this, people in the Far East tend to say that chicken is the odd one out, and people in the West tend to say that grass is the odd one out. Any ideas why that might be? For me, it's obviously grass, by the way. Grass is obviously the odd one out.
One says that cow and chicken are both animals, and the other one says the cow eats grass, so they go together.
Yeah, so you're grouping it together by a relationship or sort of dependence on one of similarity. So, here we go. Here we've got platypuses there. Another thing that's really, really hard to categorise. Is it mammal? What is it? For me, it's very, very simple. They've got electroreception. You know, they can do that. They've got poisonous claws. So for me, platypus is in a category which is just awesome. And actually, we know what to do with awesome stuff. That's what social media helps us to do really, really well. All of that stuff that doesn't fit into information architecture, Facebook, +1, retweets, all of that kind of stuff. Do you play video games? This is Metroid Prime, a video game. Basically, everything you do in Metroid Prime is shooting. So if you want to open a door, you shoot the door. It completely doesn't make any sense. But actually, that's pretty much the same way it is with social media. You know, you've got this really, really simple interaction. I like it, or I'm retweeting it. And as computer scientists, or I'm guessing that some of you are actually computer scientists, we can do stuff with very, very simple interactions. There's a very, very simple change state binary. You know, that whole thing, we can build stuff on top of it. Now, when I started thinking about building stuff on top of it, the first thing that came to my head was cake, because these layers, I like cake. And it really reminded me of the story of when they first started these instant cakes. When they first launched them in the market, they just completely bombed. Nobody ever bought them at all. Until Betty Crocker did one of the very first pieces of ethnographic market research. And what they did was they went into these houses and said, why aren't you making our cakes? And they found it really simple, that they just, before you used to add water to the cakes, and nobody felt that was cooking. So what they did was they took the eggs out, and then people added egg and a water, and the cakes took off. People felt that they were involved, which sounds a bit strange now, I think. So the bit I'm saying here is about information architecture, is that this kind of social stuff deals with the bits that don't fit in. Yeah, Walt Disney. There's a story about Walt Disney where he said he was in a park, a new park that was just about to open, and one of the staff was saying, it's really irritating because all the customers are walking across the path and they're ruining our nice grass. And actually there's a word for this, it's called desire paths. You see them in all public parks. If you're building websites, we often call this paving the cow paths. The idea is you see where the users go first and then you help them get there. Now there's a Flickr group, another social network for desire paths. It's got 403 members. It's just dedicated to this one idea of taking photos of these. And the kind of, I don't know, what happened to me was I found this story really interesting, that story about Walt Disney saying to his guy, look, I think I told you what he actually said, did I? The guy was irritated that the path went, and Walt Disney said, trust them, they're showing you the path, kind of thing. And that was his idea there. So I found this kind of story, and about a year later I had to give a talk like this, and I wanted to talk about desire paths, and I couldn't remember what they're called. I had no idea what these things were called. So what I did was I googled Walt Disney story grass. And I found this page here, it's trans leadership, all about desire paths. Result, I found exactly the information I need, but this is where it got really interesting, because halfway through the blog post, the guy was saying how he found out about desire paths. He said he had a chat with somebody on Twitter who was really helpful, and look, it's me. It was me on Twitter. He's actually recorded this conversation with me on Twitter. And so, what I've done, look where I am. This guy wrote this blog post for me because I had a little brief conversation with him on Twitter. Fantastic. It's like ants. I've left a little trail on the internet that I can follow.